Hi Karan, hi Vishant.
Hi Pranav, how are you?
I think
All good. Little early today. It's quite excited
Yeah.
for this. So,
Oh, yeah, same
yeah.
here.
So how's it going working from home, you guys?
I it's going good. I am working as a freelance, so I wanted to do this since a really long time. So I think it's going well for me. How about you,
Nice.
Vishant?
like I've been like back to my hometown right now. So previously I was in Delhi, and
Haha,
Okay.
it's going great.
nice.
So the company is helping a lot right now with all the stuff that we require.
Haha.
There's, like from desktop to chairs to everything. Like they are helping us.
Whoa, that's
Yeah,
great.
yeah. Super proud. Super proud to like be part of Hike.
Yeah, and desktop and chairs also, that's really nice of them. Like they
Yeah,
care about it.
yeah,
Nice. For me, I'm staying in Bangalore, even I'm working from home, but it's going good. It was lockdown, I guess. Yesterday only it started like unlocking.
Yeah,
So
I've heard.
yeah, so even things are getting serious here now. Cases are increasing in Karnataka.
I stay in Delhi, so you can imagine.
Yeah.
yeah. Just stay
So
safe. Yeah, just stay safe, guys.
yeah.
That's all.
So Vishant, you moved to home. So were you traveling by road or by flight? How was it?
I came back in March only. So the
Oh,
company
nice,
was,
nice.
so the company like really helped going into like lockdown. So they thought already that things will go like this. So we already shifted back in March, and since then
Okay.
we are like working from home.
No, that's great then.
Yeah,
Because when people are moving these days, like traveling these days, they have to maintain a 14-day quarantine, and that's a different headache.
yeah,
Yeah. I will be starting in a few minutes. We are waiting for other people to join in.
Yeah.
Yeah.
yeah. Aditya, what's up?
Hey guys, hi Vishant.
How are you, man?
I'm doing great. How about you guys?
Good, good.
Good. So if you have any questions in the meanwhile, you can ask right now, and we can also address your questions at the end when we start a Q&A. And if you have any casual questions or anything you want to ask us, then you can ask right now. Hey Yash, we'll be starting in about 4 to 5 minutes when more people join in. So until then, you can ask questions from Vishant, from me, so we can get this starting. Yeah.
Yeah, guys. I would love if you like open your cameras and all. That would be like really interesting to like hang out.
I think when more people join in, we can take a group selfie or something.
Sure,
Until
sure.
then, if you have any question, you can unmute yourself and ask. Otherwise, we'll have a Q&A towards the end where we'll address your questions.
Hey, hi. Can you just give a brief about what is the session all about?
Yeah. So in this session, we are trying to introduce product design. So I thought that a lot of people have been doing UI UX design. So this product design session I conducted or organized because I wanted people to know more about how to think of a product and not just about screens and design. So this is about that. So to get you started and to introduce you with the concept of product design. So I think Vishant is a product designer. He'll be able to help you better in that. So this is that the session is about.
Thank you, Karan.
Yeah, you're welcome. Vishant, there's a question that how to think for a case study topic.
Well, you really not need to think about the case study topic because as you like have so many apps downloaded already in your phone, you can try out those apps and see what's breaking in them. See it's a say if a particular kind of flow you think it's broken, or say just the whole product as a whole you believe it's broken. So you can really pick up those parts from the app and redesign it in a case study format. That's like the real world examples you can put up. That would be really, really interesting. And like if you really want to think about going virtually and designing that up, so try thinking like more abstract as to what kind of apps you can build, not like the regular ones where you have the all UI simple laid out in a simple laid out format. So that would be like really interesting things you can add to your case studies and like write topics on or write articles on and create a better case study. Yeah, that would be like the simple one to go about. Yeah,
Okay,
you're welcome.
welcome, Harsh. Hello, everyone who has joined recently. We'll be starting in another 2 to 3 minutes. So until then, if you have any questions, then you can ask me or Vishant. Can we start now, Vishant?
Yes, yes, works.
Okay, Abhi has another question about what do you think about so many design schools popping up?
I'll take that up. Yeah.
Okay,
So,
so
I would say it depends on what you want out from those schools or from those courses. So it's up to your choice whether you want to like learn from scratch or you like really want to like have a good one-on-one conversation with a coach and like get your mentorship going. It really depends on you what you think you want to get out from like get the thing out from that course. So like the schools will open anyway. So there are so many things going on in the design world right now. Everyone wants to open a school and everyone wants to like go on and like get some money out of it also as a side business. So these will come up. It all depends on what you want from those schools or like from the people who are actually doing it. So yeah, that's your call on that.
okay, yeah, so I think we can start now. So just before starting, can you all switch on your video camera so we can see you once? Hey guys, how are you? Hi Akshata, hi. Yeah, so just for a brief moment, so we can have a look at how many people have joined in. Okay, thank you, Ayush. Okay, yeah, so thank you for that. Um, just a second, and yeah, I think we'll be starting now. So you can all switch off your video cameras if you want, and you can turn them on as and when you have questions, and we'll have a dedicated Q&A session at the end where we'll address all your questions. You can leave the questions in the chat. I'll be noting them down separately with your name, and we'll be addressing them towards the end of the session. You can make questions, write down questions while we are presenting, and then we'll have a dedicated Q&A session. All right. So yeah, I think we should start now, Vishant.
Sure, man. Sure.
Okay. So yeah, hello everyone. Welcome to this session where we discuss product design with you. And this week we had to do it early because of some constraints. And yeah, so right before we start, I have a giveaway to do. So this is a design file that I have. This is a resource that I have created in the previous sessions of Figma. As you all might know that some of you might know that I conduct Figma sessions as well. So this is a file that I have compiled, wherein you can go to this file. Okay. Let me present and tell you how you can duplicate this file. So I have dropped the link in the chat. So if you want to replicate this file, all you'll have to do is click on this drop down and duplicate it to your draft. So this would be automatically duplicated to your drafts, and you can use this file as and when you want. And this has two animations, one that I created in one of my sessions of animation, and one in which I discuss basic prototyping. So you can learn how I've done this. And there's also a resume template that I have created for you. So this is a very basic template that you can use for your resumes or CVs, and you can send it to recruiters and people like that. All right. So this is a file that you can duplicate by clicking on this drop down and duplicating it to your drafts. Okay, so, and I would love to see how you experiment with this file and send me any experiment that you do with this file, and I'll be glad to help if you want any information regarding that. Okay, so thank you so much for joining in today. Thank you for people who are new. Thank you to people who have been joining in every week. I hope these sessions are helping you in some way. And yeah, so now over to Vishant, who I have called for the session, who's a speaker today. He works at Hike, and he has also worked at other startups and other companies like LBB and so on. And he is a graphic designer. He's also a logo designer. He's also UI UX, and also does mentoring on platforms like ADPList and Design.org and Design Boat as well. So over to him, and he'll be taking over the session from this point on. So over to you, Vishant.
Thanks, Karan. Thanks a lot for that. And yeah, thank you for like hosting me out. And it's lovely to be here and to talk to people and clear their doubts.
Yeah,
So
thank
looking
you.
forward to that.
Welcome.
Yeah. So presenting my screen. I hope just write down yes whenever it's visible.
Okay, sure.
So yeah, I hope it's visible now.
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah. So hey guys, so today we'll be talking about essentials of product design, and like all thanks to Karan for like having me here. And so I'll be like taking you as a like overview of what processes happens in product design and how we build a product out from scratch. And also I'll be like taking your questions at the end. So no need to rush anything. You can write down everything, any questions that you have while I'm presenting, or you can directly ask me while I'm presenting, or you can take the question to the end. So yeah, let's just go ahead. So hey guys, myself Vishant. So I help brands and companies in crafting magical experiences for people. That is who I am, and currently I am building the new social future for Hike, which is called Hikeland. So we are sort of like exploring a virtual world in a mobile first space. So we are like really working on that. The first MVP launched last month, and we are pretty excited with the results that we have, and looking forward to like making it one of the best products out there. Yeah. So just to give you a brief as to how I come into the design industry and what things I have like been through. So to start with, like I started back while I was in college, and I stumbled upon graphic design through my senior. There is a tendency of like we as like students to get into like college fest, and I didn't have like really any kind of skills to like go into that. So one thing my senior said, well, you can go into a like design sort of thing, and you can like build posters and all, and that way you can be part of like one of the organizing teams, and that way it will be like really interesting for you. So I said, yeah, why not? Let's give a shot to that. And so that's how I started my journey as a graphic designer. And eventually, when I like started doing that much more over and over, say for from the first year of my college, and I started loving it, and I started making logos for freelance work. So my pocket money started coming in, and yeah, those things you love, right? And those are the areas which you really love when you are making products or we are making graphics and things like that, and earning money side by side. So yeah, that was a really interesting phase that I went through, and eventually I started learning UI, then UX, and then everything started to like come into places. And by the end of my fourth year, I got like really good offer from LBB, and apart from that, also I was working as a freelancer all the time while I was in college, like making one or two screens, making a flow, making onboarding flow, or prototyping things. So that was going on while I was in college. So yeah, and now I'm here at Hike. So the journey looks good, and yeah, looking forward to the going in. Yeah. So today, so what are the objectives that we have today? So everyone has like different contexts of what they come in for. So say Karan is here to like organize things like events like these for you people to help you better understand things. So I really want to understand why you guys are here. What do you want to learn today? So if anyone can open their mic and like say things whatever they feel like, that would be I would love to know about. Anyone, guys?
Yeah, I think that is some I can start with it if people are hesitant. So my intention with this session is to learn about how products work and how products are basically framed, and not just be restricted to screens and designs, and just build a system or build a practice of product thinking in my head. So I am looking forward to how I can get forward with that process and how I can use it in my daily routine. So that is what I want to learn from this session.
Got it. Got it. Got it. Anyone wants to go in? Like, yeah.
So, hey guys, Arpit this side. So,
Right.
Vishant is a good friend. Hi, Vishant. Hi, Karan. Thanks for hosting this event. And I'm here because I want to learn more about the culture that you follow in Hike, because it's a future that you are designing, right? Because it's a VR and AR experience that you are designing for, and we are also into like the future part, like how we are designing for digital world,
Yeah.
for digital meetings and communities. So yeah, try to learn that stuff.
Got it.
Yeah, great.
Yeah. Sorry to disappoint on that, Arvind, but like right now, I won't be like talking much about
It's
hike and hike. Yeah.
okay. Yeah, it's
We
okay.
can probably have another session on where I talk about hike and how we are building that up, how that virtual world is coming up, and things like that. We can surely talk in the next session.
Definitely. Sure.
Yeah.
Thank you, Arpit.
Yeah. So let's get in. And yeah. So the major part of what we are covering today is like what is product design. Just a basic overview, just to give you a definition. I would not say a definition, but I would say something which clears your thought on what product design is. Then I'm going to be talking about processes and methods, and those are not going to be in depth. Those will be an overview. So if you already know about those processes, I would say like you can like really skip this up because I'm just going with like brief areas on that. So I'll be like doing a touch base on those things just to understand and give you context of how and where the processes are used and which processes are actually like helpful and not. And then finally I'll going to be have a Q&A session at the end which will be like dedicated to your questions. Totally whatever you have in mind, any thoughts that I can clear you up, any concept that you're like having a problem with. So totally dedicated Q&A at the end. So yeah, let's get directly into that. So yeah, what do you guys think is product design? Anyone from the like group want to like speak on that? Would love to hear your thoughts. What is product design, or according to you guys? Like let's start with Karan. What do you think is product design?
I, to my understanding, product design is actually thinking of everything. It's an umbrella term basically, if you can say, if you can call it that. So it has a lot of aspects under it, like interaction design. It has UI design, it has UX design, it has a UX writing, And one of the sessions that I'm going to conduct is about UX writing. So product design encapsulates a lot of those things, and it is not just unidimensional; it is multidimensional to say, to kind of put it in simpler words. So that is what I understand by product design.
But again, like I would love to like see your thoughts on like how basically you can break this up. Like how basic it can you go? Anyone, like anyone, if anyone is there who can like really get that up. So nothing, so no definition is right and wrong. So we are just like exploring things, and like I would love to listen your thoughts.
Product designing basically is coordinating with UI UX designer, getting everything correct, coordinating with developers, and thinking through doing user research, thinking through how the product needs to be, doing testing of the product, coordinating with the developer, and getting the whole product right till it reaches the users.
Got it, got it. That's the way to put that up. Yeah. Yeah. Anyone else who would like to pitch in before I go into that?
Hi Vishant, Akshata here.
Hi, Akshita.
So as Karan rightly said, I was reading a few articles about this. Initially, I was very confused about the UX roles too. So I read this that the other UX designers, UI designers, they're focused particularly on some features and individual components of the product, but product designers see it on a whole as a single product, and they are also involved in creating the roadmap for the product and all that end to end. So that's what I understand about.
Got it, got it. So to me, product design is like process where we identify like market opportunities and clearly define the problem and then develop a proper solution for it. And after developing the solution, we validate that solution with real users. And that's how the whole product design works. So it is somewhere between after the UX researchers have worked on it and gave us some assumptions of what things are going on or what they believe is right, and then we build that up and get it out to real users for testing, and eventually that product comes up. So that's what I believe is product design, and those are the bases on what product design is based on. So those are like the pillars, I would say. So it's always like defining the problem, identifying the problem, developing a solution, and then validating it. Those are like the real aspects of product design, and that's how you build a good product. Anyone have thoughts on that? Like if they believe I was not right or things like, you can really chip in right now, and we can discuss on that. That would be like interesting.
I think they can leave their comments in chat, and we can proceed with the presentation. Yeah.
Sure. That works.
Hey everyone, Priyanshu here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the process that Vishant said, I think most of some of the processes overlaps with the work of the UX UI designers.
Yeah.
So at exactly what point does the two roles differentiate with each other? Like इस role के बाद अब UX designers काम नहीं करते, product designers आते हैं.
So it will never be कि कोई काम नहीं करता या things like that. So it depends on what the company is about and how big is your design team. So say if you are working in a small startup, you have to do everything. You are not a UI designer, you are not a UX designer, you are not a copywriter. You are everything for them. You build that design from scratch to the end. That's how it works. So never assume your work is complete or like someone else has to do it. But when we think about this in bigger terms, in major companies like bigger firms like Microsoft, Google, or any other big firm that we talk about, so product design comes in after the UX research has finalized. So after the UX researchers have given their like thoughts on what they have assumed something up, so they have taken the data, they have market researched the opportunity, and now they have come in and presented their idea as to what they believe can come up, and then the product designer comes in and build those products out. Product designer works also begins when a product is shipped and the new changes are required. At those areas also product design work. So it's never about where one is going to end and another process is going to start. These things always go on iterating themselves, and the cycles keep going every day. That's how it works.
Okay.
Yeah, I hope
Thanks.
I was able to clear that.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Now I think you can leave your question in the chat, and
Yeah,
we can go through the presentation once, I think, Vishant, and then
sure,
we'll take the questions.
sure. So always ask some questions while you are designing. So never take a feature request from like anyone and start building that up. Always ask the questions. So whenever you will ask questions, you will understand better that problem. And understanding problem better is always a good way to design. So think more and do more, and then create the design. So design always comes at the later stage. Thinking has to be like first. Always think about the design. Always think what are the problems that you're solving, and who has this problem? What do you want to achieve with that? So things like that. So keep asking those questions always, either to your users, either to your stakeholders, or either to the person who is giving you that problem. So always asking questions is the key to like getting the clarity on design. And once you have the clarity, you can build that up really well. But if you don't have the clarity, you will be like going haywire on every design, and that is not what everyone wants. So everyone wants a crisp answer or crisp solution. That's why you are a product designer. So product designer is also props like solves problem. So solving problem first, you have to understand that problem to solve. So always ask questions. That has to be the way to go forward. Yeah. Next up, I want to talk about like business thinking and design thinking. So usually what happens in normal scenarios is you get a problem, you build a solution. That's like the fast way to go. But what product designers do is different in that. So they understand the problem, then work on the problem, and then provide the solution. That the first part of understanding and thinking and asking question is the whole area where you like develop every knowledge on that. So always ask questions, and always do a first level thinking before going into design. Always think your so always take your design to a different level. You can always take your design into a different level by asking questions from to yourself and to your stakeholders to get the better clarity. So again, so you must be thinking like how I'm going to find a solution of a particular problem. If someone doesn't have it already, where can I search for it? What are the processes I can follow? And like, do I have to follow all the processes? These are some of the questions everyone asks. Like, so whenever you go online and like click on any of the articles out there, you must be thinking, do I have to follow all of these processes? Is it really necessary to follow all these processes? So everyone like do research, can do everyone do prototyping, do everyone do usability testing. Those are the aspects everyone wants to understand and know whether they can work or not. So like to start with, I would say just understand the process first and why they are being used. That is like the goal you should have, and then eventually start looping those processes in your designs. That's how a good process is made, and the designs will be actually really good after that. Any questions up till now, guys? Anyone? Like,
Can you give examples as to how they can look for problems, how they can look for solutions, basically?
yeah. So I would say first think about a problem. Say whenever. So the most basic problem right now I face while using WhatsApp is I'm not able to pin any messages. And so Slack and like Telegram has given me so much opportunity to pin messages. I really like to pin messages right now, and most of the conversation happen on WhatsApp. So you see your major of your friends are on WhatsApp. So that is one problem I'm facing, and what solution I can design to that is another approach that I can make to it. So there are always iterations to design. Always think that in mind and design solution accordingly. See who are your user bases, how they interact with your products, what is their user base. So things like that, and you will have that coming up in like short span of time, and by thinking those processes again and again, and you will develop that up. So yeah, I hope I would.
Someone says in the chat that you can pin your messages. I think you can star your messages.
I can star my messages, but I cannot pin them to a chat. That's a different thing, right? I can always star different messages and then check them out in the star folder. But what if I want to pin the message at the top of the chat of a group chat? So people can always check that out.
We also have starred messages in group. But yeah, I think that if that is your problem, we can work on a solution
Yeah.
and we can validate if more people have that
Yeah,
problem or
yeah,
not.
sure. Just validating is always the grand scheme of things you should always think of. So maybe I believe that is my problem. What if others don't have that? Then there is no point building that up, right? So you're answering those things right now, which is really good. So next up, so there are basically 5 phases of problem solving, which we all know, and these are some buzzwords that you must be like listening to or like going around on Google or everything. And so I'll start with them only. So these are like empathize with your users, define your problem, ideate that problem, build the prototype, and test it out. Those are like simple basic 5 steps you can take. Always empathize first, and empathize is something which no one has like I would say no one has like cracked. Empathizing is something which we are like we are in lack as a designer. So not as a designer, I would say as a people. So we always try to empathize with different things, but we cannot actually replicate that up, which is really difficult. And once we are not replicating with the original user base, we are not going to build really good solutions for them, which is like the foremost requirement. So empathizing is something which is really difficult in I would say other steps, because understanding and getting in the shoes of your users is the like the first most thing, and that is like the most difficult of them all, because learning about the people for who you will be designing and conducting research to have a like deeper understanding of those people is really difficult when and in times of COVID. So say in times of COVID, how are you gonna do that up? So sorry, in times like this, most of the people in India don't have like smartphones, or somewhere they don't have like electricity or the internet, right? Internet connection. So how are you gonna go out there sitting in your rooms with ACs, laptops, and desktops, MacBook Pros, and like iPhones and everything? How are you gonna empathize with that people, with those kind of people who just don't have a smartphone, and build a solution for them? So that is really difficult, but we should always go on and try to research about that before starting building anything. That is like the that is like the focus you should have in the first thing. So I hope empathy is clear to you guys, and if you have any questions, we can really take that up in the Q&A. And again about defining, I would say just to define your problem, you should have a clarity on the problem. So always ask for a problem definition from your PMs or from your stakeholders. Always get the problem statement from them and see if they are already clear on what they want to build out, and then they should be able to explain that better to you. Then you will be able to define it and create a better solution. And ideating is something, I would say it's all about like brainstorming with your team and brainstorming with a couple of guys on how this solution can be built out. Is this feasible or not? Is this usable or not? Are we going in the right direction? Are we like, can we scrap this up, or do we have to like build this from scratch again? And things like that. So ideating always goes on, and this is also a never ending cycle. So you always check out different designs or different apps, or say you go out there say into a totally different country and see how they do that solution for their users, and try to see what good things can you bring that up from that product into your product. And it's not like totally replicating that up, but seeing what good things that they are doing, and you can totally like define them in your perspective and build the solution in your way. Again, prototyping is something I would say you should do more and more of. So say if you build a one design, you should always create prototypes for that. So it is easier for PMs also, and for you also, to understand the flow. And understanding the flow, so you can connect those flows better in different areas of your product. And prototyping is, again, do more, be like do more and get more polished on that, so you have like better polished designs once you like build the design out. And testing again goes on after the product is launched. So testing, so there are two ways of testing, I would say. One is when you build the product and the developers give it to you for testing, and other one is the usability testing that happens in the ideation or prototyping stage with the users. To like I would say to I'm just missing the word on that. I would say to give a better assumption on whether your assumptions are correct or not. So that type of testing also goes on in the prototyping stage. So these are some of the aspects of like how you can like go on with the process, and I would explain what all things they include in themselves to like give you a better context of them. So let's go into that, the process and methods, and how you can build a magical experience like iPhone does. The ecosystem that Apple has built in is really amazing and awesome. So how can you build those awesome experiences back into your product? So yeah, let's dive in. So these are some of the things that you should understand once you understand those processes and how these are mainly the things that will be coming up in your designs. Most of the people follow these kind of processes in their everyday journey of design, and most of the companies and agencies also focuses on these aspects. So I try to like come up with I also try to come up with like smaller terms which are not too much of like buzzwords, so you understand better on that. So I would first start with like defining product vision. How will you define your vision for the product? So this usually doesn't happen with the designers when talking about like small companies or startups. So usually the M teams or K teams or CEOs or bigger stakeholders define the vision and product strategies, or the PMs. But as we go on deep into like bigger firms, this usually there is usually design heads or like principal designer or chief designer in the product strategy. So they also give their aspects, like the whole design team aspects into the product vision, and strategizes better and give a better strategy of what we are working next and how we can reach that vision. So yeah, any questions up till now, guys? Anything that am I going too fast, too slow, or anything? Karan, if you can help me with that.
Yeah, I think the pace is fine, but
Got it.
yeah, I think the questions will come up when we proceed further in the slide.
Got it.
Yeah.
So yeah, let's go into that. So this is an old Japanese proverb which is vision without action is a daydream, and actions without vision is a nightmare. So these things usually matter when you are like defining the product out, what you want to build and how you want to build it. So every big major firms define their KSs and KPIs. Those are the things. These are again the buzzwords I'm putting into your mouth and ears. So these are like the defining key problems and how you're gonna add matrices to that. How do you gonna how do you gonna add processes and methods to implement those processes? So these happens before. So these happens in different scenarios, either in quarter-based format or in like the whole year scenario format. So different for different companies. You need not to worry on much on that, because I don't think you will be involved too much into that. But try if you can get your hands into it. That would be like really interesting to like have a better understanding of what the people in your company want to build out, what their current vision is for the product, what they think this product can go to, or what level, and are you designing in that format. That will really help you understand that. So yeah, so I'm going to explain the product strategy in a very simple format. I think that would make clear for you. So say the flag is where we are right now at the current stage, and be it any product right now you're building or anything that is there on the internet, we can pick that up and say the next big goal we want to achieve to reach the vision we are planning. And the vision is where we want to go. That's like the cup. And to give you a simple perspective, I would say at High we want to be like one of the best virtual world apps in the ecosystem right now. So how we can achieve that up. That is like something we want to understand. So in the current state only, we have like different problems, improvements, and features to add, which is like always coming up from sorry, from PMs, from users, or from anyone. Like these are the improvements that you think you should always develop, and these are way in numbers, way more in number than you want to reach a goal. So you should also prioritize those and think about them as to which problems or which improvements you want to build first, and then are they helping you reach your goal, or are they taking you back, or are they holding you back from reaching that up. So the yellow circle you see is the threshold of knowledge you have, or the team that is building that product is have regarding those problems, or regarding those assumptions, or regarding the feature request, or anything that you say. And next up is our first target condition. This is the first achievable goal towards your challenge. How can you go from X to Y and achieve that within like remembering what is your current knowledge base and the different like areas of improvement, feature request, and everything, and how you're going to tackle that, prioritize, and hit your first target. That you should always think about that. And you see this gray area, this is like the unclear territory. So I don't know how to build a virtual world, or say no one has built it. How do we go about it? Will users like it or not? What are the features we should add? What are the areas we should think of? How we should think of it? Those are like the unclear questions, and no one has answers to it. Once we build that up, then the assumptions we will see are correct or not, or was our thinking in the right way, or we like really need to scrap this up and build something else. So these are also the unclear areas which we also think of and assume things. So whenever you're building something, always have assumptions and like uh, things which are like clear to you. So assumptions and clear things. Assumptions are something you assume and then add an area to it. I have assumed X kind of users are using my product, and I'll be validating that up with this feature request. And you can build that up and see if it works or not. And this is how I mean iterating and ideating. So this is how you build from current stage and reach your target. Always think of reaching your first target to achieve the higher goal. Always think in small bits and pieces to have the higher like to have the highest aspect of achieving those things. And you explore your current state is expanded once you like got into that territory, and now you are more closer towards the target condition, and this will help you in reaching that up. So this is like the small area of problems. Again, knowledge, the condition, the territory, and how you build that, and finally achieve your first target. And the cycle goes on. It's like the never ending cycle, and you always achieve targets after targets after targets, and try killing those targets. Not just try like touching those, try to kill that target. Always build more than what your like users are thinking you're going to give them. And that last 5% that you give them is the really wow factor that comes into your product. And wow factors are something which people stay back for. It's not like the usual feature that they will stay back for. Those wow factors will help you get viral also. So yeah, these are the like some things which I have in mind to give you out. So again, vision says why we are doing it, strategies are how we are doing it, and should define every time you go into a quarter and how you're going to build your products in this quarter. What are your key aspects? Say you are a company which doesn't have search in your product. So have you defined search in your roadmap? Has that search feature come into your roadmap, and has all the stages defined, all of its stages defined? And the first thing you should ask is, do we actually need search or not? And again, have discussions on that. Have bigger discussions with stakeholders. Have discussion with PMs. Have discussion with your own teammates, and see if it's needed or not. And then actually create a roadmap and build that up in the quarters. Next up, yeah, I think we are going with the good pace, Karan, if I'm not wrong.
Yeah, I think we can just touch upon these topics because
Sure.
these are pretty heard of topics, and we can touch upon them in 2 or 3 lines. So we can
Sure.
expand the Q&A to a larger duration, right?
Sure. That works.
Okay.
So next up, I'm going to talking about user research and how to conduct user research. So there are various ways of conducting user research. I'm not saying these are the best one, or I'm not saying you should try these out, but I would say these are something which will really help you understand your product. So let's go into that. User interviews. Always try to see if you can go to the user, or can the user come into your company and have a discussion on what you want, what you are building, what are the features that they have problem with, what are the improvements they believe can come up. So always do user interviews from time to time and see as your user base grown or decreased or like expanded into different formats. So always do those user researches every day. Sorry, not every day, but I would say every 6 months would be like really good to like have a good base and setting your user base and user research flows in a particular manner. And again, next, you can do online surveys from time to time. Say every month, you can send out a survey and see if people are willing to fill it or not. So I would say most of the people will not fill it and it will go in vain, but try to see if a few numbers you can get and see are these like the right areas you want to touch upon. And just for the surveys, I would say, and not just for surveys, but for user interviews, I would say, never ask the follow-up questions. Never put questions, sorry, never put answers in your like user's mind before they answer your question. Always give them questions in contextual manner, and don't say things. So I'll pick an example. Say if you want to ask them what social apps they use, don't go out and say ki, do you use apps like WhatsApp, Instagram, because they're gonna give answer directly, like you have feed your answers right into their brains, and now they're just going to answer those. So which is not the right way to research. Again, the data points that you'll be getting from that research will be null and void, because you have put your biases into their mind, and now they are thinking the same thing, right? Sorry about that. Again, you can do market research, see what your competitors are doing, see what they have and what you don't have, compare those in an Excel sheet or in whatever format you have. Like you can go into a Miro board, create a Miro board, create a Notion doc, or whatever you feel like you're comfortable with, and write what they have and what you don't have, and see where you can land with different features in different point of interval of time, and build your product in a better format. And also do contextual inquiries. So this is something which has like grown in today's world, where you bring in the user into your like company or firm and give them the prototype or the actual product that you have built to play with, and observe their behaviors and observe their thinking of how they are like using their product, or how they are going about with different things. And you can record those things also, and but always ask for the consent of recording, whether you are doing audio or video or pictures. Always ask for the consent of the user, because again, the identity matters, and you as a designer have to empathize with them. So always ask for the consent of whenever you are trying to record that. Even if it's a phone call, always ask them whether they are free, whether you can record the session for like later thinking, and like having the right context later on when you're trying to build your research on that. So always do that. Next up, how we do user analysis. So there are different ways again for user analysis, and everyone follows different processes. Some companies do build those out, some don't, depending upon again what's the firm size and what's the product that they are working
Sorry,
on.
Vishant.
Yeah.
Hi, I have a question. So,
Yeah, sure.
yeah, as you said about the user research. So, what is the sample size for the user research?
So there is always not a like clear aspect of what is the actual right sample size, but it's always good to go with 5 to 10 users first, So you see how they are interacting, and you can later go on to with 50, 100,000, depending upon how big your users are or how big you want to dig deep into the research. So it always regards to what feature you are building and how deep you want to go into the level of thinking again for to build that feature.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, sure. So right now we are going with next thing, which is like user analysis. So again, this is like a really good code that I like always have in mind and always keep thinking when like doing user analysis, which is when UX don't consider all users, should it be like known as some user experience and not like a whole user experience or the whole sum. So it's not always about thinking of some users, but all the users that you have. And how you can think of all the users, you will ask me. So to give you an example, I would say have the base ready. Have your base of the users ready in a like persona or in a research, and ask about, or say data also comes in of your user base. So get that ready and think about in of them in different aspects and see how the whole product fits in together for every one of them. Say it can be 18 years to 30 years, 18 to 24, 24 to 30, or 60 or 50, whatever the user base is, again depending upon what the product you are building, which is again very contextual. So yeah, this is something you should like think about more as a designer. This is what we call empathy mapping. A lot of you would have heard about this, have seen this diagram a lot. And I'm not sure how many of you are using this in your like real world scenarios. I'm not sure that everyone uses this, but some of the companies do. And I would suggest you to like start looping these things, like smaller things in your like product design like processes. So you should have a like clear understanding of who you are building for and how they are like thinking of your product. So I will give you an example like sorry, I'm forgetting that app. So there is an app called CoStar. So what CoStar does is CoStar give you horoscopic values and horoscopic like points of your everyday life, and then you can also add friends, and you can see how much you match in your horoscopic areas. So right now what they have done is they have like gone on and build a dating app based on that app. So they have done all their research, and they went out everything, and they kind of validated their idea that yeah, this is something we're going to work on, and this seems like a very legit idea, and people are really relating to this app and things like that. And now they have built their own dating app, which is called Struck, which has like recently come up in the ecosystem. I think it has been a week or so, and which is really great. If you see taking the horoscopic thing, which is like our parents believe in. I'm not sure how many of you guys believe in, but taking that thing up and like building the whole dating app concept over that thing is really amazing, I would say. And they are doing really good right now. So always think about the users and see how they perceive your app and what they do with it. So what was happening is, if you see the think and like do areas of this, so what the product was thinking about the app, that they will be used it for their daily life. So say if I have the CoStar app, so they thought that I'll be using it for my daily usage and how my day looks like, how my week looks like, or how my months look like. But what really was happening was people were adding their friends, and then they were matching with their different partners and see how compatible were they. So they validated that idea again, went out with the research, and now they have built the app, which is like really awesome. So you should always think about those things also. And next up is persona. So everyone has like seen this. This is a random image from Google, which I've just picked up. So just to give you an overview of what personas you should like add. So I have you like this image has a name to this person, but naming a person in a persona is not a thing to go with, because personas are usually like not an individual based but a group based persona. So usually what a persona in your product company would look like would be X person with an age group of X to X. What occupations do they have? Like, are they like working professionals? Are they students? Or are they like retired persons and things like that? Then their statuses, locations, and you don't need to include everything. Include things which really help you understand the user base. So it has bios, goals, frustrations, everything, brands, technology. Just add things which really matter to you. Say you wanna like help them spend the money. How are you gonna do it? Understand what brands they use. See how they are spending their money right now, and see if you can build something on top of that. That is also something, right? So these are some of the areas that I want to touch upon. Next up is ideation phase. So ideation is again a whole uh, a whole talk can be made on ideation because it's such a widespread topic and vast topic again. Because ideating something and thinking about something is a all going process which everyone wants to understand on. So just to start with, these are some of the user journeys. Say I have given a task to Adam to register and see how his product is. Again, the motivation that he had for using this product and what context he's using that product. So user journeys are basically X position to Y position, going from a user goes from X position to your app to Y position, say opening the app to the buying, or say opening the app to saving a product in a cart, or say opening an app or like talking to a user or adding someone or following someone. So those are the user journeys that you can build. And building journeys will help you understand how people like go on from one area to other, and then build a prototype for that and add different areas. Like I add different journeys into your points, and yeah, this is another complex journey. This is basically of a social gamer. So usually product designer not build these up, but always help in the ideation with the user researchers or UX designers. So it always comes into your perspective of how deep you want to go into the research and then build your product, or you just gonna be there and get the product, get the all the assumptions, all the like matrices and everything from the PMs and stakeholders, and then you want to build it. So it's always up to your understanding of how you deep you want to go, and the deeper you go, there is no end to it, and which is like another aspect of how you should like prioritize things based on the organization you are in and based on the feature that you want to build. So for every feature, these things will not come up. No company is gonna do every of this aspect and every of this research and ideating and everything for smaller features. They are just gonna go out there and build that up, right? So
Yeah.
this is another format which
I think someone has Chinmay has unmuted.
yeah.
Yeah.
So this is another area which is called scenarios and storyboarding. Not many people do it, but just I add this feature, I add this image to help you understand how you can also build your storyboard. So this is an ex-person. He's like suffering from depression, and then the person would understand this and like added an app to his phone. Then there's an app which like pings different people and on from time to time to give him a call or say do a touch base upon him. So this is a scenario built by a PM. So they usually what happens in Indian ecosystems are people don't build these storyboards, but they build the user journey, which is again an interesting aspect of how people are gonna use your app in different areas and how you're gonna connect it or how developers are gonna connect it in their words. So again, everything not needed. So this is something I really like about user stories, and I like to add this line so you can take a screenshot or you can like write this up, which is really interesting to understand when you are building a feature. So as a X person, I want to do X actions so that I can do X again. All these are X's in some format, and again you want to build in a better format and have a clarity so you understand these things, and this one liner will help you understand better, I would say. So this is sorry. So this is something I always do. So understanding in understanding in this format, which is again interesting. Same situation. This is again in a different format where I have put one in a situation, what is their motivation and what is their expected outcome. So these two things are actually similar, but the words are different, which is you can use any of them. Again, the same thing happens with all the processes that I'm trying to show you right now. Everyone is using different words for different processes, and they are following the process which really helps them build better products. So you should always choose things which help you build better products. Next up, plan the structure. And how you're gonna plan the structure is Bob the Builder. So I've like added puns to it and like chips, which I thought like would be interesting to you. I'm not sure how people will relate to it, but yeah, that's again my bias. How you're gonna perceive it is different. This is again an information architecture, which is again a buzzword people would use, and you should use this more than often than any other things, because it will help you like segregate your different information areas in different groups and sections. So to help you have a better structure of the whole UI that you are building, to like really understand how which things go where, or say if it is a like, so if it is a checkout option, what area should go in the checkout area, or say the amount area, and which key aspect should go into like the overview or preview section, where should the final UI, the final amount, how the final amount button should like look like, and what's the information that you're showing with respect to that, so that people are really clear and they like click on and buy that product. Because if you are just showing me image of something and just showing me buy right now, I'm not be able to like buy it or like things like that, because I really need to understand how much it costs, what is the color that you're giving me, what are the taxes that you have on above the price, or if there are any, or they are inclusive or exclusive of that. So those information you can like really build using the information architecture and group them up in a better format. Again, how can you do that? How can you build information architecture using another technique called card sorting? So card sorting is something where you add different cards and name different cards of regarding to your features and group them depending upon the different categories they fit in, and that's how you build the whole IA out of the card testing format. This can also be used in different areas and different formats, not just for like building information architecture, but I would say I have used this for like building design systems, because it helps me understand better how colors are segregated or how colors are put into different formats, or what colors the app is using, and how can I separate those colors, or I can reduce those colors and build a better design system. So these are also really helpful in those formats. So yeah, again, it depends on how you're going to use it and how you're going to build it. Next up is, now we are like coming to like more of a like designing phase. We have like started to come up with that. We are going slowly down from like thinking, researching, and now like totally into like developing. We are like just onto that stage, like sketching. These are again wireframing. I'm not like going in depth because you already understand these things, and these are like really basic things. So I would always suggest you to go out and do like pen and paper design. Always do that, because the first thought that you have in mind, and once you like sketch it down with your pencil and paper thing, you will be very clear on like what are the things they can remove from that screen. Because once you directly start building that design, no, there will be very biases, and you have to do key iterations more than you will be like thinking, because then you have your biases, the people's biases, the product team biases, the research biases, and the whole UI can get messed up. So always like go on and do pen and paper thing first, and reduce the amount of clutter that you can do. Always reduce things. So product design is also like reducing things and building better things. It's not always about adding things to a product. It's always about reducing also. So I hope you get that point, because it is also like really helpful and help you understand how product design works. So again, these are wireframes. And next up, we are going to do into design, which every one of you knows. And this is something which you should like really relate to. And I think more and more companies are now understanding how design can help and break their product. And this is why so many openings and so many people want to learn design right now. And this is really a hot topic, and this is something you should relate to, which says like, if you think good design is expensive, you should look at the cost of bad design, which is like a really good quote by Ralph, and amazing again. So these are some of the paper-based designs and prototypes. Not everyone do it. I don't think any of the Indian companies do it. I might be wrong, but I don't think any of us do it. But yeah, I would say I've seen videos of Google doing it when they were building their systems and when they were like doing an in-depth research study where they just really want to like remove the bias of the people from the interactions they have with the screen or the type of screen they own. It can be Android or iOS, and they want to like build these mockups and see how people are interacting with it. So yeah, this is another way of doing it, and this is how we do it in most of our areas, which is like building prototype and testing it out, which is again you should do more and more of. Again, the cycle keeps on going on. Prototype, review, refine, and define. Always do it. Always do more of it. Again, the terms that people like really don't teach or understand. So even when I came into design industry, I didn't knew how to give a design handoff because I never done it and I've never seen people doing it. So I thought this was something like developers picked it from from their own, and I thought they would just see the screen and get the whole design made up. But then eventually, like when I like went into LBB and I helped understand, because in freelance, what happens was you just give the design, you just give the design sign off with the client, and they do everything after that. You are not someone who like gives every design handoff or give every icon or give every aspect of how this is going to be made or things like that, because which is like really fast way of like putting things up. In freelance, you just have to like get a project, make it, get paid, and it's over. And design handoff is something which I understood when I started working in a product company called LBB, and it really helped me understand better how we should give our design handoff. I would not give you tools, and because there are too many tools out there. You can use any of them. Be free. Talk with your devs how they want to take the handoff, how they want to take the handoff from you, and like uh, right now Figma is like really good where you can design as well as give handoff. And the other tool, like if you are working in Sketch, you can use Zeppelin in a format. So yeah, there are a lot of tools out there. Abstract is there, a lot of tools. Just use some of them, and to get the pixel perfect perfection for your design, I would say that is like the word that I have come up with. And yeah, start getting involved in more of like design handoffs, so you understand how developers work and you build empathy for your developers also, which is like really, again, people as we as designers tend to miss out. We should always develop empathy for our developers because they are trying to make something which we have like built it in our like single screen format, and they have to like build that up for different screens, multiple resolutions and multiple areas. And how they are doing it, you should also understand every time you're working with a developer how they are using that screen or how they are uh, building that animation or prototype, say yeah, for say animation, and how you're giving the animation handoff, which is also an interesting aspect we can always pick and talk about, which is again a bigger topic of like picking how you can give handoff of any animation to your developer so that it's better implemented and like it's smooth.
I have a question. Sorry to
Yeah,
interrupt.
go ahead.
Yeah. So Vishant, the thing is, when you are done with design, so when
Yeah.
you hand off the designs to your developing team, then what is the
Yeah.
process for designers?
Sorry, I didn't get that. Matlab, what's the process you're asking about?
Like once you are done with design and you give the files to the developer to develop, right?
Yeah.
And after that, what is the process for design team? Like they have to wait and wait for the correction from the developing team, or they have to like iterate on the current designs only?
So there are different ways of it, I would say. First one is we are not always working on single feature. We are always working on multiple features, and there is a release cycle to it. There are sprints to it, and every feature goes into a particular sprint, a particular date, and that's how you give a handoff to a particular thing. I would also suggest you to like get your developers involved in the ideation stage only. What that will help you understand is how is your idea feasible enough to like develop, or your team is like that much strong to build your idea or not.
Yes,
So you
yes,
can
yes.
really cut your pieces of design and give smaller pieces into development. If they are not able to build your whole process into a single sprint, then it's better to give a smaller aspect of like your design and get that out. And by the hand of, I would mean when they develop, when your design is into development stage, no, always check with the developer when you are trying to get the build. Always get the build from the developer for testing and test the design yourself, because you have made it, you have a better clarity than the testing team, right? You have
Yes,
better
yes, yes.
clarity on where the icon is, where the icon can be placed, or is the interaction right or not. So
Right,
always invest yourself into those areas so that your designs are perfect when we go out live in the market.
right, right,
Yeah,
right. Thank you, Shant.
sure. Works. So this is another screenshot from a tool where it shows your line assignments and everything and how this text is gonna look like. And yeah, so finally we are at a testing and validation stage. So I'll go fast now. So testing is something we can do dog fooding. Dog fooding means testing your design within your design team or within your product team. Once you build that design, go and test it out within your team. That's your first user, and see if they like relate to that. See if they feel any problem with the flow, or if they feel any problem with the UI overall. If they feel any problem with the buttons or like contrast of the app or anything, that can be anything. And take feedback, take as much feedback as you want, and build the best. Next up is usability testing, which I have like mentioned in the past also, but this is again happens once you build your product, and this also happens when you are in the prototyping stage also, to help validate some of the things. And this again happens when you build the final product out. In some companies they happen in both the areas. Again, it depends on company to company. And this is what I call guerrilla testing. So this is something which has come up lately. So in the Indian industry also, where people go on into the cafes and invite others to like give them a feedback on the app and for a exchange of coffee or drink or something like that. So this is also you should do from time to time and interact with a lot of people who are not your users, which help you understand thinking your product from their perspective. Sorry, of how they perceive your product, because they are not using your product, so they don't have any idea of what previously it was in it and what right now you're building. So they can also clear your mind in different things and give you a different perspective altogether in your design. This is again you should try, not right now because COVID is going on. So try something like this when everything like comes into normal, which I don't think like getting normal any soon. So yeah, finally we are into like post launch activities. This is like another big topic which I think have in mind, but this is something you should also like keep on going and asking your like data team, and how the people are using a product. Is the feature really help the product in any format or not? Are the numbers going up, are the numbers going down? So every team has a like data analytics built in. This is a screenshot from Facebook which shows daily active users and monthly active users in their quarters of 14 and 15, and show how the numbers are going up and what are the different scales they are using for the world, for the Europe, and for different continents, and how they are building their product in different formats. So you should always indulge and get the data out and see how your product is going or how your feature is building. Again, get the feedback. Always take feedback at any place you can think of. Play Store, say send out a survey, or in-app ratings or things like that. Always take feedback from your users and try to incorporate those things as soon. And this is what I call this is another thing, A/B testing, that goes on with different companies that they try to build. But whenever we are not clear of what solution we are going to provide, and we think both of the solutions are correct in their areas, we give the A/B test. We put out A design and B design and test it out with the real users and see and perceive the data and see how different designs are perceived by people and which design is good to go and get live. So this is two of the screenshots from the Instagram app, which they have lately been testing, which is like if you see the top of the stories, so they are also testing the different swipe features and two row view. And another thing is they are testing the like button to go up, which is their heart, and the share button to go down. So these are the different A/B tests that Instagram is doing right now, and see whichever comes good in number will be like implemented soon. So looking forward to that also. And finally, like what's next and what's next for you is think, make, check, and let the loop go on. Let the loop go on. Start ask more questions. Think more in terms of designing, like thinking first and then designing later. Some key points I would say to remember, which is like the process should morph to fit the project that I've been saying the whole time. I've like given this to you, and like it's not a linear process. It's never an ending process, and it's based on communication. It's always about how better you can communicate your features to your users, how better you can educate them to use that, how better you can remove the complications from your product, how better you can do it. So things like that. Another interesting like thing I would say is ask the right questions. So once you start asking right questions, you'll start getting the right answers and better clarity. And again, the questions remains the same. Again, who will use the product? How will they use it? What will they use it for? Does it solve their problem or not? This is like something I believe in, which is like to design great products, you must deliver the right features with the right user experience for the right people, and thus define your target audience, then research their problem, and finally focus on building a product that solves those problems. So again, my perspective to it. This is another quote which you should like do more. So right now I'll be using the word like user or most, but you should always like not use the word user, but use words like people, which like you can really relate to. Because whenever we use the word user, it kind of creates a bias for us and think of them as a product, or say think of them as an object which we'll be like making a product for. And once you start thinking of them as a people, you will start to empathize with them and build a better product. And which is again the most important thing to remember is build designs for people, not for a user. Q&A right now. So I'm like done with all of my thinkings and like sharing with you all the knowledge or like touch base on the smaller aspects. And yeah, so Karan, we are ready for the Q&A. If you like want to go on, and anyone can ask questions related to anything.
Yeah, I think I have compiled a list of questions that we can start with, and
Yeah.
if anyone has more questions, then we can address them after that. All right.
Sure.
Sure. Yeah. So first question, let me see. The first question was, can you please give an example of wow factor? This was asked by Mukesh.
So sure, I would say if you like go on right now and download an app called Trivia. Try downloading that app and see how it onboards you. See how the video aspect they have used, and see how the onboarding process they have made really fun up with the interaction, design, and everything. That is something that I'm talking about. That's the wow factor. I believe I
Can you
have answered your question.
yeah, can you repeat the name of the
that-
app?
So it's Trivia Royale. I'll write that down also.
Yeah, I am writing it. Don't worry.
Sure.
Okay, so that was, I think.
I'm sorry, I want to rephrase my question here. You said that there's a particular app, but do you think that that can be happen with any of the app? Like if I'm talking about any banking app, right? Can we do the wow factor with that also?
Sure, man. Sure. See what are the pain points that people are right now facing with the banking apps. Try to get on with the like bring in those pain features and how you can make them in a better presentable format. Say, can you get rid of the onboarding and use the onboarding in a different format? Say, can you like totally go on and don't use the passwords at all? Go into the OTP format. So things like that. But for the design, so sorry, you were saying regarding something with the banking app, right?
Yeah,
banking.
absolutely right. Correct.
So banking, and I haven't worked on the banking sector at all. So I'm not sure what are the areas that go into it, but we can definitely talk about it if you want to like do one-on-one session, and we can definitely dig deep into what comes into like wow factor when it comes to like banking and how we can solve it. Yeah,
Sure. Thanks.
sure.
Yeah. So yeah, the next question is strategy versus roadmap. What's the difference between the two?
Sorry, can you repeat that again, Karan?
The question was strategy versus roadmap. What's the difference between the two?
So they both are really similar. So roadmap is like the detailed format, and strategy is something how you're gonna like tackle that roadmap. Strategies are built in terms of how you're gonna tackle those roadmap features. I hope that answers.
Yeah, okay. I think strategy is a big term and roadmap is very particular term or particular features
No,
that
no,
we
no.
can implement.
So they are totally different. So roadmap is a bigger term. So roadmaps are built in terms of large scale format, and then strategies are built within the feature to better
Okay,
tackle
okay.
those problems.
Okay, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that answers it. So Harsh has asked the question that how different is it to work in a startup and a well-grown company?
So I would say the processes are very different, and how a design goes from one area to the last, like the development phase, is very different when it comes to like a proper company and a startup. In a startup, you actually do everything from scratch, which is like researching, ideating, like going on with the user research and talking to your users, interviews, building prototypes, and then like giving the final design. But what happens in larger firms is they have dedicated people for that. So at some of the load that you already were thinking, or some of the biases that you were having, are now like totally shifted, and now people will be like uh, at every step there are people who are expert in these areas, and they tackle that problem in a very smooth manner and have better clarity on how to tackle those areas. And once all of these people brainstorm and think of an idea, the solution comes in a really good package, which is like really really awesome, I would say.
Yeah. Okay, so
Yeah.
the next question is this is
And
from
yeah,
Jahan.
I would like to add. Yeah, I would like to add. Sorry to interrupt, Karan. I would like
No,
to add
no
one
issue.
more thing. Like in like small startups, you don't have like too many meetings. But whenever you like get into like a big firm, you have to present your design to every stakeholder, to every person, and explain why you built that design, which is again an important aspect, and which will help you clear and clarify your designs. Your mental thinking also gets improved of why you are building a particular thing, and why X thing is there on the screen, or why Y thing is there on the screen. So those presenting things also come up, which is like really great, and you get
Okay.
feedback. So again, we can implement and build a better solution.
Okay. Yeah, so the next question was from Jahan, and the question is how what are the skills I need to polish as a UI UX designer to become a product designer?
Problem solving. That's all. That's one word. Be best at problem solving. That's the only goal you should have. No skill will beat you than the problem solving. If you are best at problem solving, every company will try to hire you. That's the only goal you should have. Like think better, do better, and again, you will tools you can learn. Any prototyping tool you can learn, any designing tool you can learn. But thinking, that is something that comes up while doing things and while thinking about those things. So always do problem solving first, which is like polish that out. That's the like foremost thing.
Hello, Jahan this side. So
Yeah.
I have done user research. I have worked with. I have closely worked with my product manager. I have worked with my product designer and have designed for product also, and also
Yeah.
have done testing. Have tested the app, everything. So can I go into product designing now with a sense of confidence? I don't know.
Yeah, sure. Whenever you feel like. So you said you are a UX designer, if I'm
Yeah,
not wrong.
I'm a UI UX designer, but again, I'm working in a product-based company, which is kind of startup. Our parent company is quite a big company, but we have a startup kind of team. So we do every sort of thing. We have a product designer, but I also do that. I also do the work. I also work with the product. I also do the testing. I do the research. I write user stories and everything. So can I, go into product designing now? Can I start my career? In
So
our,
I would really want to ask, like, how long have you been to that company as a UX designer? Just to like give
more than 1.5 years.
more than a half year. So usually what happens in bigger firms is they have like dedicated section as to one can like have that title. It's really a title right now because everyone is a designer in himself and they do multiple skills. So every company has that section where they segregate a particular title, say a product designer. Some companies do at 3 years plus experience. Some company do at 2 years, or some like hire fresher designers directly with a title called product designer. So don't try to associate titles with the job. I would say try do more of what you are doing right now and start putting of what you are doing in terms of like documenting things, writing articles and blogs on it, so people understand that you are not just a UX designer but an overall product designer. And so whenever you apply to like some other company, they like perceive you as a product designer, not just a person who solves their UX problem.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Thank
okay.
you.
You're welcome.
Okay. Yeah. Good. Great answer. So next question was for usability testing, which is the most popular tool companies use, and how frequently do they use it? This is from Mahesh again.
Well, again, I really don't have idea on that because every company uses a different tool, and it again goes into your budget, man. So every company has a budget dedicated to how much tools they can buy, or what is the like what's the budget that they have. So it totally depends on what's best out there. Hotjar is something people use occasionally every now and then for websites and apps, which is like less paid. And Maze is something also. So InVision, Maze, Hotjar, these are some of the basic tools that you can use for testing out an app, like just to see how people are using the different buttons or how they are playing with your product. So these are some like basic things as a tool that they use. Yeah.
Okay.
I hope I answered the question because I really don't have idea how different companies use different products because no one actually puts out what tools they use. There are very few companies who actually put out what tools they are using right now and how they are using it. So again, very subjective.
Okay. Yeah. So the next question is from Chinmay. He asks that does journey map come under analysis instead of ideation?
So again, I said these are like some of the processes I believe should come in particular format. They need to be in a like format I showed to you. But building those user journeys is really important, so you understand your product. So don't think of them that X thing comes in under Y or Y things come under X. It should be part of your process and should define your process according to what fits your product. I always said that fix all the process depending upon how you are working on a product and how big is your company and how many designers are involved in it. So always build that up. Building processes is important.
Okay. So the next question is from Ayush. He has asked that how to get your first job after completing a UX UI designing course when you're already working as an animator. So how to break into the industry basically.
So basically, I would say there is no like right answer to that. And how you can break into industry is like doing freelance work, doing internship, and then finally getting a job. That's like the best you can do. Or like put out your stories, put out your user journeys, case studies, put out your designs out there in the world to see and see how good of a designer you are, how companies can benefit from your design and how they can hire you. So this is another aspect of how you can get hired and get into a company.
Okay, yeah. Good. So yeah, so next question is should we completely understand material design and human interface guidelines? Basically the design
Again, yeah, got it. So you should understand how different things work because they are made in a system for devs to work on. So there are some predefined rules which you should always understand and build design on it. It again comes to how different your app is going to look like. Is it going to look like more like a material design app, or it has your element of design to it? So have those matrices, understand where you can use those areas. Say a floating button, where you can use that in your terms, in your style, in your design language, in your app. Take inspiration from material design to like set the base and design in a particular format in your style. So see,
Yeah.
use bottom sheets, shadows. So take inspiration and use that. If your goal is to just build the native UI, take the material design and build the native UI. But if your goal is to like impress people and like get your users more and do more from your product, build that UI in a better format. Polish that UI into your own design language, into your own style. But
Okay.
understanding them would really help you build better products. So you will empathize with developers of how they build different areas of like how they go on with the design and build that design up with related to shadows and everything, because both HCI and like Google Material Design have documented all these stuffs. So it also gives you like an inspiration of how you can build your own documentation and build that process. I hope I answers your question.
Yeah, I think. Okay. So the next question is that from Jahan. So she is basically asking that should we know development before we get into the product designing field?
Not really, but you understanding of like some key aspects of how they implement the design is like something you can always learn while like doing a design handoff, which really helps you create better design. So once you know how scaling works in different screen sizes, you can design better in a better format. Your textiles, your images, your ratios would be really good next time you build that product. So like understanding is first, and like knowing all the aspects of developing is not needed, not at all.
Okay. Yeah. So next question is from Jitender. He's asked that is the product designer role only given in product-based companies like Zomato, Hike, Swiggy? So
Well,
is it so?
yeah, go ahead, Karan.
No. I was just asking, is it so that the role of product designer is given only in product-based companies or
No, man,
big
no,
companies?
nothing like that, nothing like that. So agencies also have product designers. So
Okay.
so this is mainly a term right now. So product designers who are not digital designers eventually. So product designers, what people related to initial stages was like making chair design, automobile designs, and things like that. Because that's an actual product. But as the like designer designs came into like field, people started like digital designers like us started associating with that word a lot more. So we have like started using that word. So these are like again words which defines of what you do online.
Okay. So the next question is, what is the best way to get user feedback on your product? And do we ask them questions within the app or reach out to them on other platforms?
I would say reach out to them directly because you must be having that user base. Try building a community of your close user groups so you have a like better and like better given feedback. Because once you create a community of some of the like some of the closed users of your like user base, like have every user from your user base in that community where they provide you direct feedback, and then always take feedback from within the app and within like different social media accounts, or say within like doing user reviews and things like that. But having a community built which can give you direct feedbacks of every time you want to search something or you want to build something is really great.
Okay. Yeah, good. So next question is from Ayush Penny. He's asking that what things to keep in mind while designing products for the users who are not that familiar with tech or smartphones, such as farmers, blue collar workers, and so on.
So try and having an interview with that person, or go where he lives, bear that cost, and go where he lives and see what kind of phone he uses and what kind of app he uses, and whether your app can be built in that app in that phone, or what like smaller aspects that they understand of phone and app, of words, of language. Those like areas will help you understand how you can make an app for those people, because sitting at home and like thinking how I can develop an app on a farmer is totally different than going out and having a conversation with that farmer of how he perceives that app, of how he perceives mobile phone, or how much he uses that phone at all, if he has that time or not, or does anyone in their family uses the phone and he's just there for the phone, and he gets information from his child or say, from his wife or from his like friends who are more educated. So try to get into that. Try to get in depth of how he's getting the information from mobile phone, and you will be better. You can better build that up for him.
Yeah. So the next question is, this is from Priyanshu. He says that, is it good to mention the companies which no one has ever heard of, new startups on my landing page portfolio? So, and
Yeah,
there's
man.
an addition. There's an additional.
Yeah.
I think there was additional question. And this doubt comes as a result of seeing a lot of people mentioning in their profiles with associations with companies such as Google, Facebook, etc.
Well, it doesn't matter which company you work in. It matters of what product you work in and how you build that product. So always mention the company you work for because you created the value for them, and they hired you for a particular value which they believed in you. So always mention that name because you have associated with that. And it's so never company is never a small or large. It's always about our perspective of companies. So everyone is doing different things in different formats, in different sectors and different organizations. Not everyone is like have bunch of money like Google and Adobe. It's always like different people are trying to build different products for people, which is like really inspiring. So always mention that up, and mentioning your company is really good and impressive. People understand that you work for a company which does X and Y things, and you have helped them in making say a search app or making them redesign their app or build better experiences for them. So always mention that up.
Okay. Yeah. So
Yeah.
there's a question from Harsh. He's asking that what to do on a daily basis as a product designer, basically how to improve every day.
So think more, see how different apps are you doing different things, and how something you can relate to, and like solve simple problems. You use different apps daily, and see which of the apps relate to your kind of product that you're building, and see what features you can build to it. Or just take out your app, say whatever app you're working on, and it can be a website or it can be an app, and go from the scratch, like log out from everything, do everything zero, like delete all the data and everything, and start from scratch using that app, and see what are the small things you can pick up from logging in again and things like that. And you can take those assumptions, take the screenshot, and go on, get on a discussion with your PM or with a UX designer, and see how you can improve some of the things that you think are really redundant right now and they are not being used because people are already logged in, and see how you can refine those smaller areas which people have like forgotten, and build a better structure of your app.
Okay. Yeah. So next question is from Neha. She asked that for business plan, this is a technical question, I think. For business plan, from the view of funding, how do we realistically assume monthly active users and their acquisition cost?
Well, you never assume those things because they really come up once the data coming up, and once the product is live and it's into like different domains. But assuming something like we don't do, and we do it for like smaller sectors, not for the whole large area or for the app. Like overall, we do it for smaller section, not the whole app. And to really answer your question, like I'm not the expert in the field, so my answer won't really help you in that. So I would really like to skip that up. And if you really want to understand more into it, I'll ask my colleagues who work in that sector and get back to you. So do sure to like hit me up with a question again, either on LinkedIn or Twitter. Just connect me and I'll try to help you answer that question. I hope looking forward to that.
Yeah. So another question is from Karan, who's asking that I am working as a React native developer in a startup, and we have a small team without a designer.
Okay. Sorry, your voice is cut, Karan. Guys, am I audible?
Yeah, Vishal.
So Vishant, can I read that question for you? If,
Yeah, sure.
yeah.
Please go
So the
ahead.
question is, like I am working as a React Native developer in a startup, and we have a small team without a designer. While developing, I sometimes forget about the people we are targeting while working on a screen, and I'm not able to empathize with the people we are developing for. So how can I improve on that?
So
Yeah.
I'm not sure how you're gonna do it, but when you build that design up now, so once you have like finished the development, so try getting one of the users on call with him, or like send him the prototype. I'm not sure how you're gonna build the prototype, but if you like really need help in how you can build a prototype in a faster format, I can really help you in that, and we can have a like one-on-one session where I can guide you on how to build small prototype, so you can test it out with some of the users and build empathy and see how the design works. But I would say request your team to like hire a designer. Say entry level would really also do, but like get a designer on board. That would be really helpful for the product.
Okay.
You can answer
So
it, yeah.
I think there's just one more question left, which is that tell us the newest thing that you have learned and that has improved your design work.
That's really subjective, but I would say the best thing that has helped me improve myself is like the people around me. So the people around me, like the fellow designers I have, or the people I talk to, like in really day-to-day life, either on groups or say either on video calls, those people have really given me a good feedback, like the constructive feedback of how I can improve my thinking and how can I improve my designs to like have a better view of different products, and that area has really helped me. It's always about taking good feedbacks and implementing that up. So there are always hundreds of feedback floating around. Implement them for yourself to build a better version of yourself. That's like really my goal for the next quarter. I would say my goal is to like do more of these sessions and like interact with the people and help you out. And same way I want to like publish my more designs and design thinkings that I have in the long run. So you people will be able to see more of that coming up soon. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, great. So I think there is one last question that Harsh has asked right now. That one should know that they are ready to apply for intern at product-based companies, like the minimum requirements that they should have.
So the minimum requirement is understanding design and like how can you build a design. That's like the minimum understanding. Can you build a design, and can you build thinking of how you can build that design, and can you give the handout. So these are like some of the smaller things and requirements that you need to like get into the industry. And design is something not needed for a UX designer or say for a UX writer. They need to have better understanding of the flows, user researching, and how they can write better copies to better the user. So design is something which comes really comes in the end for a UX designer and comes first for a UI designer. And product design is like an overall field which like comprises of both the UI and UX worlds, and which kind of blends in with the business and give you the whole product out.
Okay.
And
Yeah, I think that was it.
Yeah, I just want to add, like it's not about it's not about a right time or like a long time to apply. It's always about applying. Take that first step. Go out and see what people are doing. Can you replicate the same, but in a like better format, or say in a different format, and you will be able to get a job right away. Because right now there are a lot of jobs that are going on in terms of design, but we really miss the quality of design that we want in a designer. So the quality of designers is really depleted right now, which like the base. So they don't do thinking at all. They just get the spec out and build the design in a single format, which is like not the good way. But once you start to get improvements onto that. So make improvements and go every step, from one step to second step to third step, and just build yourself better. And you will make those mistakes. So it's perfectly fine to make the mistakes. It's just about learning from those mistakes and building better.
Yeah, that's a great answer. I think that was the last question. So yeah, I think we'll wrap it up now. And if you have any other questions, from me or from Vishant, I have dropped the social links to our handles in the chat. You can refer to them. You can contact us on LinkedIn. You can contact us on Instagram, Twitter, wherever you like. And I also have dropped the link for the Figma file again if you want to duplicate it. Okay, so I think Harsh has one last question. He has asked that
sure.
since the automation industry is rising, how do you think it will impact design industry? I think the same question that everyone is talking about right now with the GPT-3 or those AI
Well,
models.
there is a very interesting answer to that, and one of my good friends, Abhinav, like really answered that for me when I was asking him the question, and he said it's again about how well you can construct your questions to feed that into the app or to feed that into the GPT-3. So you need to have that understanding of what questions you can feed, what answers you can perceive from that. Again, it will give you thousands of answers, but which is the correct one, it's again up to a designer to make, right? So which is again interesting. So designers will stay back. That's the whole point. So automation will help you because automation has already helped you in so many formats. There are so many tools out there which are automated. So you need not to think of all the animations and everything. You add one, so you have one screen, you have second screen, you join them up, the prototype is made, right? You don't need to have a thinking on how you're gonna add those areas and how you're gonna add key points to improve your like animation. There are some tools which help you do it better, but the basic prototyping you don't need to think of it. So those are also automated if you think. So every industry in some format is automated, but it's again up to our perspective of how we perceive that and what informations we feed and how we take the feedback and again implement the best of it.
Okay. Yeah, I think that was it about the questions. And Vishant's social handles are on the screen. If you want to scan them, you can connect with him over there. And you can anyway find him on Twitter, LinkedIn.
Just to add to that,
yeah, just a second.
So yeah, I think that was it about this from the session. And any parting words, Vishant?
Yeah. So I also like do mentoring sessions for like designers on Saturdays and Sundays, and I've been doing it like for free through ADP Design List, which is like an interesting platform. Go check that out, ADP Design List, which is like all the awesome designers from around the world are at one platform, and you can go out and have a session with any of the designers, be it from Google, Adobe, you just name the industry and they are there. UX researchers, designers, UI designers, UX copywriters, they are there. Book their calendar, go out, talk to them, and clear your doubts. That's you should like do, and they are available like all the time. Just you have to go out and book the calendar. You can also book mine. Mine is also available on Saturdays. I'm also available on Saturday and Sunday. I do that quite often with some of the people, and yeah, it's really interesting and going good. And thank you all for joining. I hope this was helpful and insightful to you all. I'm not sure if I like bored you or not, but yeah, thank you all for bearing me and like having me for the long run. Thanks a lot, guys. Thanks a lot.
Yeah, not at all. And one thing I would like to add here is that even I met Vishant through ADP List, so you can see how you can make connections, and those connections can help you to become better designer and become better in every way. So I would really suggest you book some people's calendars on ADP List. And yeah, thank you all for joining. Thank you for staying up for this late. And I hope I was able to provide some helpful resources to you all. And also Vishant, thank you for being such a sport and doing it for the time that we did. And we'll see you next time. Next time it is going to be regular Sunday. And if you have any feedback, any suggestions, you can connect with me on LinkedIn, Instagram, and other platforms. And yeah, thank you so much. Good night. Have a great Sunday. And we'll see you next time. Thank you so much.
Bye, guys. Take care. Have fun.
Bye, Vishant. Thank you.